yeah, I'm Adam Sandler and I'm a hardcore gamer. It's time to get my gamering on. Epic kill streak style. I should probably go to bed now though. Gotta turn this TV off. Wait, I'm thinking. What if I don't go to bed? Oh, this is a genius idea. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I love this nipple torturinator 5000. Oh yeah. Oh, why? Oh my god. Oh yeah. It's me, Guy Fieri. What's up, Adam? Adam, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be here, Guy. This is my nipple torture room. Oh yeah, this one's going all over my Facebook. Guy, you can't do this. Peace out, loser. I'm gonna leave and post this everywhere. Freeze, Guy Fury. You're not going anywhere. You're gonna eat my ass. Really, Adam? That'd be an honor. Rock on.
Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, oh.
That was kick ass. I'd have to rate the experience a 3 or 2 out of 10. Not that good. Anyways, prepare to die, Guy Fury. No, please, Adam. I love you. Guy Fury, it's me, Matthew McConaughey. I'm here to save you. Here, catch this gun. Oh yeah, Matthew McConaughey. Thank you for giving me this gun. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot Adam Sandler. Bang. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. I'm your biggest fan.